Okay, so I'm watching myself in the past. It appears because it's not happening in real time, which is throwing off my timing. I don't know what you're seeing or hearing. Um, we'll see how this goes. Right? What I'm gonna do is, in the meantime, I'm really wanting to do this live so that people who can't participate will at least be able to see how it's run. Okay? So thank you for bearing with me. Um, I can't see myself, so I can't tell what exactly is happening. So I'm just and then try to get back on. So, let me see. Really? Okay. So let me turn this on. I don't know if this is actually streaming right now. It says it is. So I've been kind of trying to navigate this live Zoom. And so this is my first time doing it, which is absolutely what you should not do. You should always rehearse before the first time you're doing something, especially with technology. So it says I'm currently streaming live on Zoom. So I'm going to go through the presentation that I had for parents and the Celestine prophecy book review process with now so that it can be available and accessible to the public at a later date. Those who cannot participate or not able to or whatever. So the purpose of this, the book review, and actually this particular part of it in which I've dedicated some time to just sharing with parents and teachers the educational terrain currently and how they can navigate it for their students. The best best of their students, really, children and students. Education has gone through and is going through a education is going through a transition. It has been going through a transition. Or maybe I should say it should have been going through a transition to keep up with where the world is currently going right now. We're seeing that there is a deficiency in terms of the sorts of jobs and opportunities that are available and the available manpower, human resource to fill that. And that can be the responsibility of that falls squarely on education and how we educate. When we look at classrooms today, and classrooms should not look like what we've known them to be in the past with these four walls. The educational plane has changed. And unless we become aware of what those changes are, we and our children are not going to be prepared for the future. And so the first part of this whole Celestine prophecy book review is going to address that for parents. Just do a little introduction there, and then later on into the Celestine prophecy actual book review itself. So 20 years ago, I entered the classroom as an English language teacher, 8th grade teacher. I wasn't coming out of teachers college. I didn't have any predetermined way of teaching. At the time that I entered the classroom, they were recruiting veterans from the military to become teachers because the student had started. The students were changing, they thought. And really what it was their method of teaching was not keeping up with students. The students were getting what they called bored. And there begins the problem. Because teachers or education is now testing students on things and skills that are completely outdated and irrelevant. And they're ill prepared to be entrepreneurs, business owners, employees, wives, husbands, mothers, fathers, because they are learning in a very or unnatural method. The way in which we teach is not how we learn naturally. For those of you who follow my Instagram, you see that I have been planting. I have a garden and I'm trying to raise some seeds. So I planted some stuff and it wasn't very successful. And so I have to make some adjustments now so that I will be able to reap something later. Something was off. Some things I know what may have happened, and no, I have to make those adjustments. And that's how we evolve. We go through the process of education involves reflection, thinking about the things that we did and are we moving closer towards something that we want. And if we're not, then what do we need to do that? And in some cases, some things are inhibiting that. So anyway, I have established the Celestine Prophecy Book Review Club as a means of modeling for teachers and teachers, parents who are teachers, homeschooling, anybody who's teaching their children, how to facilitate, how to use a book club to teach literacy, social skills like communication skills, critical thinking skills, happen naturally if you run your book club the way that I'm going to demonstrate for you. And so if you're a parent, if you're a teacher who's interested in using technology to teach your students, and technology varies, it's wide. You don't have computers, you don't have any type of Wi-Fi or anything, there are other things that can be, that is still technology, that can be used to facilitate learning. And as we move into this new realm, we have to look at ourselves differently in terms of what we consider a teacher. Because the past definition, not one that I ever really ascribed to myself in terms of teaching. I always saw myself as a facilitator of learning, or I am here to help with the learning process, the thinking process, that sort of thing. And at the end of the day, we're not taking a test to determine if you were able to tell me back what I told you. That was not the level, that's not how I assessed learning or gains. So that has to be rethought as teachers. And so in addition to this book club, I will be hosting at the end of February, beginning of March, a parent-teacher conference, during which time I'll be sharing with parents and teachers the options, all the various opportunities they have and different teaching modalities that they can offer to their students to learn things, so that what we consider education is no longer overwhelming. It is overwhelming now because we're trying to do something and meet some standards and have them pass tests that are it's just ridiculous. And it has created a very unsafe space for learning for children, teachers, and parents, particularly in Jamaica. You know, if your child is going to get stabbed, killed, beat up, raped, oh my God. I mean, come on. So I just wanted to offer to parents some options, let them know what is out there in terms of options for themselves and their students. And teachers as well. There are opportunities for teachers to go in another country and learn some of these different methodologies as an exchange teacher. So a lot of things are available to us to make learning more tolerant, more fun, more engaging, more relevant. And I'm available to offer that type of support. So the book club, the conference coming up in February, and finally, what parents who are here to hear about is the 4-H club. So I've started a 4-H club. One of the ways in which parents can really support their students is by enrolling them in some sort of after-school activity, organized, structured after-school activity, sport program that's not just focused on winning, but team building, those sorts of things. That's what sports and athletics is about, and it's become so competitive that it's just like, you know, so making after-school programs more child-friendly, teacher-friendly, you know. So that's the other part of what I'm will be offering in 2025, starting in January. The 4-H club that I've started, I will also be starting a movie, book, and music club, review club, where we review movies, books, and music, song, and do the same, engage in the same sorts of activities that I'll be facilitating with the book clubs, with the Celestine prophecy, and with the Celestine prophecy. So for the girls, the book that we'll be studying is Art of War for Women by Sun Tzu. Art of War. Well, Art of War is Sun Tzu's book, And it has been broken down now into how we would actually apply some of these principles to our lives. So we'll be looking into that book, and then we're also going to be reviewing the movie Wizard of Oz. And then we're going to pick another song that we're going to also go through and have some discussion over about. Both of these groups will be meeting twice a month virtually. And it's open to women and girls across the world. We're not limited by borders. We have technology on our side. If you're able to log on to Zoom and or one of my social media sites, you'll be able to see what's going on and follow. So I want to invite you to follow my YouTube page, YouTube channel, Empress Zaria, and or you can request to, once you join the club, you can request, or the book club, you can request to join one of the pages that I'm hosting on Facebook, and I have a WhatsApp as well. So you can get a little bit more engagement. You'll know ahead of time the questions that will be posted in the group for discussions. I post those in those platforms, and I can entertain questions in there so that when it comes to the day of the book review, you already know the questions, you've already thought through the answers, and you can just go ahead and share and get into some free, engaging discussions. The part of the book review that will be a little bit different is the homework, which is it's going to do what schools neglect to do, which is a very, very big part of education and learning, and that is reflection. Reflection, to reflect upon the things that just occurred in the book review, things that were discussed that resonated. So, so that not only will things won't look so random anymore, right? So, an example is I posted the questions for the book review club. 2 questions that I asked to discuss. One is an icebreaker, and the other one has to do with insights in the book. The first question was, if you had to choose an insect as a pet, which insect would it be and why? And the second question has to do with the insight, which first insight talks about synchronicities, uses the word synchronicities. And first question is, what is a synchronicity? And have you experienced any synchronicities? What does it mean? Right? So you would have had an opportunity to think through what that meant, and then now have that conversation in that small group with 1 or 2 other people, and think deeply about that. Right? So that's the first part. The second part of it is now to reflect upon what actually transpired in the group, what you gained from the whole reflection, the whole engagement in so many different ways, what you got from it. And then we're going to drop that in one of our social groups, the Facebook group, what you got from that. And we can get some other conversations stimulated from that. So that's the method that I'm going to be using to facilitate the book review, Celestine Prophecy, and the book review club for the 4-H club. If you are interested in joining any of these programs, you can review any of the programs that I'll be offering in 2025 on my website, empresszaria.com. Go through learning adventures, and you'll see a list of several programs that you can jump on board on, get involved with. Both book clubs meets virtually online twice a month and once a month in person. So we have an opportunity to kind of engage online, and then we can meet up somewhere and do something. First, I'll start the meetups here in Jamaica, and then as we evolve and grow, and women from different parts of the world, we can actually do a meetup in different parts of the world as well. So I just want to, extend an invitation to those of you who are interested in engaging with others, learning how to use a book review club to facilitate critical thinking in students, social skill development, communication skills, all these that will be required for students later on in life. They'll have an opportunity to learn through this book review club. And I'll be modeling how that is done through the system. Obviously, you'll see how I'm managing the group, and then you can do that with your children as well and students. The book review is important. When I walked into the classroom 20 years ago, without any background in teaching and education, I had to fall back on something that I knew. And what I knew was storytelling. I used to tell my children stories, the rah-rah stories, or scary stories. So I'd end up, I would scare them, or I'd tell them scary stories, scare them. It's kind of cruel, I guess. Or I'd read books to them. So when I got into the classroom as a brand new teacher, and in some ways it was good that I didn't have any of that other background behind it, because I had to adapt to this situation. And so what happened was I fell back on book club. I started to tell stories to my students. I had a classroom of students who were reading on different levels. They were socially on different levels, economically on different levels. It was just, their backgrounds were different. So I had to work with this, and I used stories to do that. And then I read books to them. And eventually I brought technology in where I used to tape deck. If you guys have a tape, some of those kids don't know what a tape is, that they go as far back as a CD player, maybe. But we had a tape deck. And so my book on tape was the first use of that sort of technology in my classroom. And the book was Holes by Louis Satter. And the students were new to it. It allowed them to be fluent or experience and hear fluency when they're reading. So it was modeled for them, so that when they now were able to start reading, they started to develop fluency, because the words were familiar to them. They heard what it sounded like, they saw what it looked like, they heard how it flowed. As they're listening to the stories, they're seeing pictures being created in their mind's eye. That's a big part of reading. Power of reading, imagination. And so that was one of the first things I did. And the other one was I had them memorize poetry. So education can be fun. It needs to be fun for students to want to engage. We don't have to strong arm kids into learning. They naturally want to learn. We just need to create a space for them to learn, a safe space for them to learn, until they're able to develop the skills that they need, that they can go out into the world and navigate on their own. So I'll go ahead and I'll be modeling that through the club. So you're welcome to join us as parents and teachers. Welcome to come out to the conference and enroll your children in the club. All of these are available on my website, empressaria.com. Or if you're a museum member, they'll be available to you as well. That website is also on our page. It's Children's Cash Museum.org. You can get on there, and you can also see some of the English programs I'm offering as well. So thank you for your time and attention. I look forward to engaging with you in a number of different ways to kind of take education forward. At the conclusion of this meeting, I'm going to jump into the book review. Thank you for jumping on board again. If you have not been registered and you'd like to register, you can